Good morning. This is the video to help you use inverse operations for addition and subtraction. So the inverse operation just means the opposite of what you did to start with. So if you added and then got an answer, you can check that answer by doing a subtraction and vice versa. So for instance, here we go. So we've got Ron wants to check his addition calculation. So he did 320 plus 719 equals 1039. And you've got to try and think of which two inverse operations would help, which two subtractions would help check that answer. So I'll help you out with this one. So we could do 1039 take away 719, and then if his answer, if he did it right, he should get that as the answer. Or you could do 1039 take away 320. And if you've done the question correctly, you should get that as your answer. So we try and think of things as kind of sent as families. So you could do this 320 plus 719 equals 139. You could also do 719 plus 320 equals 139. So that's two additions. And you could do two subtractions. So you can do 1039 take away 719 equals 320. And you could do 1039 take away 320 equals 719. So for each calculation, there's usually four ways of doing it for addition and subtraction. And so that's what we mean by the inverse operations. So number two is similar, except this time it's a subtraction. So they've done 4096 take away 2356 equals 1740. Which two additions could be used to check this answer? Here you've got, so one is they give you all the options for these two. Now they've taken away the options, and now they're just asking you to use an inverse operation to check these calculations. So there's two ways of doing it, but it's just asking you to do one. So this is an addition. Which subtraction would help check that this is the correct answer? And for here, this is a subtraction. So which addition would help check that this is the correct answer? Now Tommy's done works out this question, and he's done it incorrectly. Maybe he's taken it to a teacher and they've marked it wrong. So go and have a check, Tommy, and see if you can work it out, and see if you can debug your own question. So he thinks to himself, "Oh, I'll just do it again as it is and see if that works." Is that a good idea? See if you can think, why might not that be a good idea? And then what calculations should you do? So try and think of which, so subtraction would be the inverse of this. So which subtraction calculation would help him check that his answer was wrong? Okay, so this one, again, putting your knowledge to the test by trying to match the inverse calculations. So you've got this addition calculation here. So there must be a subtraction that goes with it. So trying to think, where are those same numbers used? I'll give you the first one. You could do this one here. And then see if you can match up the rest. Because, yeah, if you did, to check that that's the right answer, if you took away this one from it, you should hopefully get back to 2482. Then you've got to try and complete these calculations and then use the inverse operation to check. So actually do this calculation with your answer. So you could use your column method here if you want to, and then do a subtraction to check it. And then here you've got a subtraction to do. So do the subtraction in your column method that you know here to get that answer, and use an addition to check. Same with C. And then 7, 8, where it usually gets more complicated. So Alex is thinking of a number, and she says, when I add 4,550 to my number, I get 7,460. What did she start with? So how do I get back to the number she began with? I need an inverse operation to check it, to get back to that. And then you've got a bar model. So remember, in a bar model, the top is always the total, and then you've got these three parts that make it up. So you're trying to think of two different ways that you could find the missing parts. You're trying to think of how do you find one of the missing part here, and then write that down. So you can think of two different ways of doing it. Okay, hopefully that's helpful, and I'll see you in the next time.